Arrabbiata in Italian means angry, and angry in culinary means spicy. So, by the transitive property of food names, pasta arrabbiata is the name of the spicy Italian sauce we're going to be cooking today. This is a perfect weeknight sauce. It comes together so quickly, it has simple ingredients, and most importantly, it's delicious. I highly recommend you add this to your cooking rotation because it'll become a quick favorite. Let's get cooking. So, in spite of what I just said about this being a quick and easy recipe, I decided to up the ante and make a bigger project for the video by making some fresh pasta. This isn't an instructional video on how to make fresh pasta, but I'll run you through the steps real quick. First, I'm making well on the flour. I'm using bread flour because it's what I had on hand. Then I'm adding a few eggs and egg yolks. Now I'm realizing that I added too much flour, but that's okay. I can just take some back and save it for a future project. Now I'm working the eggs into the flour slowly with a fork. Once the dough is thick enough, I'll start kneading it, and kneading it, and kneading it for at least 10 minutes, if not more. You want a nice, supple, springy dough. Now I'm wrapping the dough in plastic wrap and setting it in the refrigerator for a couple of hours. Once the dough is nice and rested, it's time to roll it out. Someday I'll do a video with the old rolling pin method, but since today is not that day, I'm cutting the dough into quarters and running it through a pasta roller one time for each level of thickness. Then I'm folding and cutting it into nice wide pieces. This extra wide cut of pasta is called pappardelle, and it's an excellent way to let fresh pasta shine in a simple dish like arrabbiata. Now for the reason we're all here, the sauce. I'm starting out by chopping up 6 Calabrian chilies in my Muni food processor. If you don't have one of those, you can just fine mince them with a knife. Also, if you don't have access to Calabrian chilies, you can just use red pepper flakes. I actually ended up using a combination, as you'll see in a bit here. Next, I'm prepping my garlic with something between a rough chop and a mince. And finally, I'm lightly crushing some whole peeled San Marzano tomatoes. No, you don't have to use San Marzano, but there aren't a lot of ingredients in this recipe, so I do recommend springing for something on the nicer end. Believe it or not, we're almost done with this recipe. All that's left is to build the sauce. We'll start by heating up some olive oil in the pan and adding our garlic. It just needs to cook for a minute or two. We're not looking to add any color to the garlic here. Then we'll add our chilies and cook for another minute or so. If you're using chili flakes, this is when I would add them. Next, we'll add our tomatoes, some salt, stir, and simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. After which we'll taste for seasoning. This is the point where I realized my sauce could be angrier, so I added some chili flakes and got it to the point where I wanted it. Now at this point, you have a totally finished, somewhat traditional arrabbiata sauce. You can add your pasta and enjoy. But there's this pasta place in Denver where they add crispy pancetta to their arrabbiata, and it is so good. So I'm adding that along with some nice fresh basil. Now it's time for the pasta. I'm not sure how this happened, but it seems to be an American thing where we put pasta on a plate, then add sauce to the top of it. We need to get away from that. Toss your pasta in the sauce. Don't worry if the noodles are a little wet. The starch in the pasta water will help the sauce to come together. Just a little dusting of fresh parm, and look at that. Now here's a little tip for a nice presentation of long pasta. Take your tongs and twist them in a ladle and get a nice nest you can put on your plate. If you take out the time for fresh pasta, this took maybe 10 minutes of prep, 15 minutes of cook time, and what a nice fresh dinner we have ready to go. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.